Welcome to Scale Without Chaos, the podcast on business growth, visionary leadership, and scalable systems. Each week, you'll hear real stories, the messy parts, and the proven strategies that help leaders grow without burning out their team or themselves. And yes, you'll definitely hear a few spicy takes along the way. Here are some highlights from this week's episode. You do not need to go out and make a 40-page strategy because that's not going to get you anywhere. I can truly say that strategy is something that will sit on a shelf.
You can take that same person and say, now I want you to help find 5 new sales leads and draft follow-ups for them. That has more value and more output and also gives them a chance to upskill a lot faster.
And now, this week's episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Scale Without Chaos. I have something a little bit different for you this week. I was asked to join Sarah Evans of Zen Media. She is absolutely fabulous. If you haven't connected with her on LinkedIn, particularly if you are in the services or the PR space, run over to her profile and go connect and follow her and join her newsletter. She is doing absolutely amazing things with AI right now, and it's fun. We've had a few conversations. I was with her on another show, and then I joined her on hers, which is called The Visibility Equation. Really cool. Check that out as well. And we're like, we got to talk more. So you'll probably see a few more episodes, collaborations between the two of us, because there's just so much that we can cover, and one episode just doesn't do it. So this week's episode is the top 20 questions that I kept getting asked as part of different businesses trying to really kind of wade through the waters of figuring out how to implement AI. And so Sarah asked me these questions, rapid fire. 30 minutes is how long this episode is. So we went through 20 questions in 30 minutes. It was rapid fire. So take a look, listen, let me know your thoughts. And I'm really interested to hear if these questions resonate with you, or if of course there's more, but if there's anything else that I can answer for you as part of everyone just trying to figure out what is AI and how it can be most useful for your business and how to make your business grow efficiently and effectively and intentionally with it, right? So those are the things we're looking for. I know I don't normally do a plug for it, but I have just started doing a lot more work on my newsletter. There are quite a few guides and templates and things that can be really helpful for operators and folks who are running a business. So I put a prioritization template in there so you can figure out what are your top AI priorities that will get the most bang for your buck. There is also a questions to ask an AI expert, quote unquote, AI expert or AI consultant before you hire them, because there are a lot of them popping up right now and not all of them are created equal. So I want to make sure that you all find the one that is best for your business. And there's all kinds of other good things. And of course, the link to this podcast. So if you haven't already, sign up for the newsletter. There's a version on LinkedIn, and then there's a version on my website. Great. All right. Well, I hope that you enjoy this conversation between Sarah and I. And until next time, keep building.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to the Visibility Equation. I'm Sarah Evans, your fearless host. It is my pleasure today to bring you Samantha Riel, who is one of my favorite practical and tactical voices in the space. And once you get through today's session, you will see why. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I am so excited to be here, Sarah. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to do this rapid fire. I'm excited.
It is like the best way to be. And I met Samantha because we were doing another live show / podcast together. And I was like, I want to pick your brain. And how much do we all hate hearing that when that's what you get paid to do? So then I said, like, let's take your knowledge and share it with the Visibility Equation people, because she will share the most, it seems basic, right? But she's so smart. She'll take a big complex issue and be like, do you know that when you are working in Claude or ChatGPT and you fix something or fix content, and then you don't go back and share the final version of something, you're just going to keep getting the wrong output, like that kind of level stuff.
Yeah. All of that. Yeah, that's like the number one thing that I've been sharing this week, actually. So that was a really good one to share. Thank you, Sarah.
I love it. And before we jump in, just for credibility sake, will you just give a quick intro about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Samantha. I'm the founder of Scale Without Chaos, and we are all about business process and systems. So I primarily am a business operations consultant. That's kind of the easy way to explain what I do. But basically, I go into businesses who are trying to scale and get to the next level. So whether that's going from 10 to 15 million, or even bigger than that, or even if the owner is looking to just step back after a few years, I come in, talk to them about what they're doing, and we hit those goals. And so a lot of what I do now focuses around AI, obviously, with all of the efficiency that can be gained with it. So that's I kind of just fell into it, is what I like to say, with the AI thing. But now I've just become, it's such a core part of what I do that I now just go around talking about what I do with AI. So it's fun.
Awesome. So here's what I get to do today. I mean, a little bit different. The reason I do this show is so I can talk to smarter people and learn. But I asked Samantha to gather the 20 most frequently asked questions that her clients or potential clients ask her. So I have all of them. I'm going to pretend to be one of her clients and talk through these. And she's going to give us the real answer that she would give. You are welcome to put answers, questions in the comments here. We might not get to them during the show, but I can assure you between she and I will go through and answer everything. And for some of them, they might spark awesome opportunities for new ideas, tools, resources, etc. So let's jump in. So Samantha, I am role playing potential client. What if I come to you and say, where do I even start with AI for my business?
All right. So I've summarized this into three very easy questions. So I have this as part of a prioritization framework, but this is essentially it. These are the three questions you ask yourself. What am I or my team spending the most time doing? So that's kind of obvious, right? The next one is, what potentially high value thing am I ignoring because it takes too long? There's always something. Everybody has something that they ignore because it's taking too long, and it could effectively be helped with AI. The last one is, what is messy and should be cleaned up? And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. I can tell you already, your training documentation and your standard operating procedures are in this category. That's it.
Okay, great. I like that. And funny enough, it's very applicable because I'm meeting with a major US city next week to do an
Yeah.
AI training. And we're actually dedicating an entire module section to SOPs and what we do with that. So fascinating.
Yeah.
Next question. Am I behind if I haven't already adopted AI?
No, I can't remember what the exact stat is off the top of my head, but I think it's something like only 20% of companies can say that they have moved out of pilot stage right now. I think a lot of people are just in pilot. That being said, employees since 2024, I think it was a McKinsey study, said 40% of them have been using AI in a way that's applicable to their jobs and to their roles. It's just a matter of making AI systems, AI processes, and strategies work for an entire business. That's where everyone is really struggling with right now. And I will say, if someone comes to you and says, oh, we have AI baked into such and such platform that we're using AI, that is not true. That's not how you use AI. That's an additional tool, but that's not using AI.
I kind of laugh about this because it really is a gold rush right now. And people ask me, AI is white noise buzzword. It's in everything. But to be truthful and accurate on what it is and all of the implications are why I'm sure you do what you do and what is to come, right? And then I also want to talk about this one because it's really important. And I think it changes based on your role in the organization. The basic question is, do I need an AI strategy or can I just start experimenting? I would love your response and then I can talk to you about what it looks like from an executive standpoint.
Yeah. So you do not need to go out and make a 40-page strategy because that's not going to get you anywhere. I can truly say that that strategy is something that will sit on a shelf. And the reason for that is because AI is moving so fast right now that there's no way that any document that you actually put together now is going to be applicable in even 2 months. And I know that sounds scary to some people, but that is quite literally the truth. What I keep telling people is that you need a direction. So you need to do that prioritization framework that I talked about, and you need to work toward gaining efficiency in a particular area if that's a goal. So work on that, and then you can expand beyond that. But no, you do not need an entire AI strategy. It is important to have your governance and your security locked down, which is typically a part of that strategy, but you don't need to have something that's like a 40-page or more sometimes document that talks about how you're going to use AI.
I will take that up one notch. I can tell someone's AI workflow acumen by the very fact if they say, I'm going to create a document. Because people who are living in the AI economy and AI workflows will immediately start to think, oh, I could I could build a skill around that, or I could build a project and then give it to my team. So it has a QA layer or the SOP baked in. People who are living and building manual documents are still have a large learning curve. And we'll get there.
Okay.
All right, Samantha, how do we prioritize AI projects? And maybe explain to all of the different use cases, right? There's internal workflow, there's tools you can build. There's so many different implications of AI. How do you prioritize all of this?
Right. So the easiest way to start right now is to identify efficiency. So a lot of businesses right now are seeing gains in efficiency, not necessarily in dollars. So I will say with the huge caveat of if you are using your AI in your sales motion or your BDR, SDR motion, that is a caveat to that. But for the most part, it's all gains in efficiency. So what you want to do in order to do all of this, to look through all of this, is really to figure out where you can make inroads there and then continue to grow. I think that's probably people try to do too much all at once, and it's just not where they need to be. Make some small gains first and then continue to grow.
Isn't that the truth? And I spend a lot of time digging into these things and trialing these things as a human case study so
Yeah.
that we're not trying to implement things for our clients before we've had a chance to build test proof of concept. And it's easy to burn out really fast because it's just like a New Year's resolution, right? You're like, I'm going to work out every day instead of I'm going to take one brisk walk after my evening meal into these bite-sized pieces. What are the most,
I Oh, sorry, Sarah. No, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
nope, there's a delay. My apologies. What are the most practical use cases for AI right now? And maybe talk about it in the form of a small business, mid-sized business. What would be considered practical?
Yeah, for small businesses especially, you can really clone yourself in a lot of different ways that is really quite meaningful. The way that I always approach an AI, I do a lot of AI assistants. I do a lot of AI agents, and we'll talk about what the differences are in those in a little bit. But the assistant wise is just going into your chat GPT, your Claude, and saying, write me an email. Or then creating an additional thing that says, here's the types of emails that I write me this type of email. So you can really take back a significant amount of your time by using AI in those ways. For mid-sized businesses, once you need to start training other people, and this actually goes into franchises as well. Anytime you need to have the same standards, AI is a great way to do that and to keep things updated. I mentioned earlier that SOPs and training documentation is always not 10 times out of 10, ever always out of date. Think of how easy it is when you just have to go into something and say, I added this step in process, update the whole document. It takes away so much time. And it's amazing what is there. In terms of the large businesses, where I've really seen some major efficiency gains here is with the tech sprawl that happened in 2020, right? A lot of businesses, if you actually go through your balance sheet and look at what you're paying for B2B tech, if you go through your different categories and look at there might be some that you don't even know that you're paying for. And the question is, why? Right. And so now everyone's saying, well, why do we need all these systems? And if they don't even talk to each other, how can we provide the best customer service that's available? So AI, people like me can come in and say, all right, let's connect all of these. Let's do that next best step for both your employee and the customer and just make it easier all the way around. I'm not talking about necessarily replacing people, which I know we're going to talk about in a minute, I'm just talking about making the people that are working with you and for you that much more effective and valuable using their true expertise.
Samantha, only the real nerds will get this, but I think you need a shirt that says the human MCP. Like you
Yeah.
are that connector for all those pieces. Um, we'll we can come back to choosing the right AI tools and
Yeah.
what I have actually heard this. I tried AI and I was wrong. How do I get it to work?
I get this one all the time, and it is understandable because it can be frustrating. So this is the way that I coach my clients to work with AI. Think of it as a junior level employee. Think of it as an intern if you need to. Think of it as someone who is just walking into your business for the first time, not exposed to anything about you or what you do, and you have to train it. That is how you should be thinking about your AI system. I think there's so much hype about people are like, oh, well, these things are going to take all of our jobs and this is what's going to happen and it's going to take over the world. And so they think that if they put a one sentence prompt into Chat GPT, it's immediately going to work correctly the first time. That is simply not the case. And so what I'll go back to what we started this phone call with, this meeting with, is basically going back and always training it. So what I continually will tell my clients is once you have to always edit, you have to give it the right feedback. You have to tell it what your tone is. You have to tell it all those things and then give it that final version and actually instruct it to look at the final version and the differences between the two. So then it knows what good looks like in your world. Otherwise, how is it supposed to know that? It's a computer. It's not going to know that. You need to actually take the time to train it like you would an entry-level employee.
And I know people are at all different stages of the learning curve. I was helping someone, I will not name them, they might be watching right now, who I got to download the Claude app on their phone. And they said, do I need Google for this? Do I need a login for this? And
Yeah.
very excited about AI, that there's that spectrum of things. And then there's me who crashed my browser this morning trying to do something with Open Claude, integrate a system and build a tool. It's all scary when you don't know. If you had to give people 3 tools to take away from this today, what would you recommend they use to get started?
Yeah. Getting started is really easy and it's actually way easier than you think. There's a lot of tools out there to do this, but here are the 3 that I would actually recommend. I would recommend any LLM that you want. Now, that being said, I work primarily with Claude and ChatGPT. I actually have a document that is available. If you send me a message after this, I'll send it over to you. But basically, how to pick the right LLM for your business based on what you're trying to achieve with it. So, for anyone who just wants a general, really good forward thinking, you can use ChatGPT. If you are looking for something that is more dev focused, I would highly recommend Claude. There's Perplexity. There you could use Microsoft's tools, Copilot. There's a whole bunch of different things depending on what your business needs. Start with any kind of LLM that you want. I have tried them all. And so that's something else that I would highly recommend is go ahead and try as many as you can and just see what you like because they will all give you different types of answers, different flavors of answers. They're all coded differently. So see which one that you like. So that's the first thing is find an LLM that you like. So any type of the LLM is the short form for basically a chat GPT. The next thing is get comfortable with Zapier. And a lot of people get freaked out by Zapier and creating Zaps. But if you want to create agents, get comfortable with Zapier. And Zapier has some cool tools now that allow you to actually talk through what you want to do. And it'll get you it'll get you quite a bit of the way there. So get really comfortable with Zapier. And then the third tool that a lot of people actually they're always thrown back by is the tools that are already in your system. The tools that are already there that you already are using. We're not going out and we're not buying new tools here. Right now, just to get started is we want to identify. So go back to your priority list, identify the areas in your business today where you could save time normally in the systems you have. That's what's going to work for you first. Do that first. That's how you get started. Don't go out and buy a new tool. Use the systems that you already have. So those would be the 3 things that I would highly recommend.
Don't be like Sarah and have a crazy tech stack to try everything. I agree. And I want to talk about one comment, Nancy, I have such an optimistic view about your comment about having feelings about replacing entry-level employees with AI. We have such an opportunity in front of us, and we're actually taking this and flipping it on its head. I'm looking at those entry-level employees and how you can bring more value to their output. I gave the example the other day on a call with people used to sit on calls, meeting recorders, admin assistants, and take manual notes and then type them up and then deliver them to everyone. Well, AI can do this now. That's silly, right? You can take that same person and say, now I want you to help find 5 new sales leads and draft follow-ups for them, or that has more value and more output, and also gives them a chance to upskill a lot faster. So I think people need to stop thinking about jobs being taken, although, some will, but how you can upskill and increase output. I think it's really important to think about it that way.
Can I add on? That was
Yeah.
real quick. Because I have feelings about this too. And actually, so my first role was as a business development assistant, and all I did was write proposals. So my entire job was to sit on phone calls with other salespeople, listen to what the customer needed, and then write that proposal for the salesperson. And there were a whole bunch of reasons for it, but that was what my company chose to do. So they chose to pay me $60,000 a year at the time to do that role, right? So so obviously that's gone. That's gone now. That's gone across the board. There is no one who is sitting there who is just writing proposals. Instead, those people are doing exactly what you just said. They are furthering the mission of the organization. They are making sure that they are reaching out to customers, and they are really helping be a much more valuable employee than spending that crazy amount of time writing those things. So anyway, that's my take on that. So yes, would my first job be there? Yes, but very different.
Okay, let's dig back into practical AI assistants versus AI agents. What are they when you use them?
This is a very basic question, but I get this all the time. So AI assistants are essentially helpers that are within the LLM that you choose. So if you go into ChatGPT and you create something that, hey, I need to write a LinkedIn post every day of the week, create me a LinkedIn post. That is an assistant. An agent would be something that is connected to that. So you're connecting to an outside system, you're using just Zapier, you are then having it scheduled and doing it for you. So a lot of chatbots are like this. There's a whole bunch of different things that are out there, but essentially an assistant is within one contained system. That's how I've been defining it. And then an agent is something that interacts, does it on its own. It's a lot more the promise of AI than what an assistant would be.
All right, let's get real. Risks, security issues, compliance issues. I'm a CEO of a business. I'm like, I love AI, but we deal in confidential information. Let's say we're a medical, or health client. Maybe we deal with global brands that have big compliance issues. What are the risks that you're saying, and how do you plan for them?
So the first thing that I'll say is make sure that you have a paid account, right? That's the biggest thing. Make sure all of your settings are appropriate. That's a big deal. You should not be putting any sensitive information into any LLM at any particular point in time, ever. In my opinion, I don't know, Sarah, do you guys handle it differently through any type of other privatization that you've created?
We do, because we built some internal
Yes.
pieces of software so that things are not going into open source and being available for that. And that's because some of our clients will come now and say, are you going to feed this information into LLMs? And we still need to be efficient, but we have to guarantee security and compliance.
There you go. So you need to make sure that you have something in place where you are not feeding sensitive data directly into the LLM. I'll rephrase what I said. Anything should be anonymized anyway, right? So if you're dealing with if you're a third party and you shouldn't have patient data. You shouldn't. I mean, at least the companies that I'm working with, you shouldn't have patient data. You're going to have HIPAA compliant data anyway. So there's nothing to really worry about there. But I do have clients that have sincere legal concern around using something that is AI generated in a courtroom. Can you actually do that? And so there's been a few ways that we've worked around that. The main one is that we use that AI to check things, but not to directly write things in certain circumstances, because then it gets thrown out of court if it was written by AI. So there's definitely some interesting things that we are going to be working through as a society as AI becomes even more ingrained in our lives. I will say the regulations that are even in remotely around AI are not nearly mature enough as they should be. And so there is going to be a lot of that that's coming. I mean, but look at social media. We're just now getting some decisions from courts that we probably should have had 10 years ago. So it's going to take a little bit of time. But anyone who is a practitioner with values is already looking at this and making sure that we are judicious about how we're managing everyone's information.
So we probably have time for about two more questions. One of the things, and this is a big one, and I know you get this all the time. It's one thing to be an executive or CEO and say, okay, I'm behind the learning curve. I have to learn. I have to build. I have to implement. I have a team who has 0% AI acumen who I now have to upskill and train. Where do we start? What do we do?
Yeah, there's a lot of resources out there. I will say, even going into LinkedIn, this was suggested to me the other day because I didn't know about all of the stuff that's out there. There's a lot that you can find just in LinkedIn for courses, just to learn how to prompt an AI model. That's where I would start. Is essentially get your team into a training, make sure they know how to prompt an AI model, make sure they know how to think with it, and that would be the biggest first step that I would do. There's a million more after that, but in the interest of time, make sure they know how to prompt an AI model.
You know, one of the things I did for fun, because this is what I do on Saturday mornings when my family's still asleep, Anthropic has a bunch of free training tools and resources. I got out my good old meeting recorder and my own note taker and went through them and saved them, and then did highlight reels and some other things for our internal team. And also just send people links. I like put them on their calendar, block it out like this, do this training this day, this training this day. Now tell me what you learned. Like there's lots of free things out there. It's just, if you're a workflow solutions architect, like how your brain works, you can start to build that into your own team training.
Everything you do is so smart. That is so smart. And that's the coolest thing about AI is a lot of this stuff is really just like next level thinking, and it's applicable now because of AI, which is just very cool.
I just love that it can move at the pace of my ADHD brain. Yes, it's my blessing and my curse. What is, for anyone watching this today or later, what's one AI workflow, and explain what an AI workflow is, that I could implement this week, and how do I do it?
Okay. So an AI workflow is something like if this, then that, right? So if this happens, then that. For example, I have an AI workflow that I am in my LLM, I'm in ChatGPT, and I essentially have it set up where every 3 months it is going to prompt me to ask me what my business goals are. So I give it what my business goals are. And then every week I tell it I have meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays from this time to this time, but this is what I need to accomplish this week. It will lay out my entire week for me, and then it automatically pushes over into my Google Calendar and time blocks it for me because I do better when things are time blocked. If I say things, yeah, see, there, everybody, it's a big thing. Um, if if I say all of these things, but it doesn't include my top three goals, the GPT will prompt me and say, "Hey, you didn't dedicate any time to this. We're going to put some in for you for this time." So that's an AI workflow that you can definitely do. They're not those types of things. You could actually probably Google how to do that for the most part, other than the calendar integration through Zapier. But those are not extremely difficult to set up, and those are the ones that I typically have for workflows.
Samantha, I'm watching this and I'm like, love everything you're saying. Don't have the time, but I do have the resources. Who could they hire? Who could they find to help them do these things?
I mean, me, but then I think probably also you as well. You've got a lot of that. No.
I do not have the time. I would recommend you, Samantha.
Okay. All right. So then me and my company, so this is a majority of what we do. It's all about how to make a good first logical step with AI adoption, get the efficiency that you need so that you can grow and scale. And so I am available on LinkedIn, of course, and my website is scalewoc.com. And I also have the podcast as well. So that's the other place that you can find me.
And I will just tell you all, I meet a lot of people in this space. I talk to a lot of people. When I'm actually learning from someone, I find that so valuable, which is why I do the visibility equation. I would not bring Samantha on if I didn't actually think she was legitimate. And I've talked to people she's worked with who swear by things she has taught them, and they're seeing actual increase in output and viability of their business. Samantha, if you could leave our viewers, our awesome listeners, with one thing today, what would you tell them?
Oh my goodness, just get out and build something. Just go try it. Just go play around with it. Just go try it. Do something with it, and it will quite literally blow your mind. It really will. The amount of cool, quick things that AI can do is really, really impactful. And when you start to learn how to use it in a meaningful way for your business, it just unlocks doors that you didn't have before, options that you didn't have before. So please go try something today, even if it's just a small thing. Go try it if you haven't already.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time, energy, and resources with us today. Thank you everyone for watching. Next edition, we're actually going to have the Stacker team on talking about what they're doing and building. I will be promoting that soon, and you can get the recap from this show in Monday's Practical, my weekly newsletter. Thank you all for watching.
Thank you for tuning in to Scale Without Chaos. If today's episode sparked new ideas or gave you a fresh perspective, do me a favor. Hit that follow button, subscribe for new episodes, and share this with someone who's going through what we talked about today. This podcast is all about visionary leadership, sustainable business growth, and the systems that make scale possible. For more content, free resources, and behind-the-scenes insights, connect with me on LinkedIn, follow along on Instagram at Scale Without Chaos, and subscribe to the newsletter.